Welcome to Detective Comic Talks, the podcast about DC Comics by DC Comics fans. Hey guys, welcome back to Detective Comic Talks. If you're new around here and enjoy listening to us talk about the DC Universe, please remember to subscribe to the channel on Podbean, on Apple Podcasts or anywhere you get your podcasts. And of course, if you're listening to us over on YouTube, please remember to subscribe and like this video to make sure you don't miss out on any future content coming your way from Detective Comic Talks. This week guys, we've not really got a lot to talk about, so I'm just going to sit in silence and discuss my top 5 moments of lockdown, and hopefully that takes up the full 45 minutes. Of course I'm kidding on. Guys, we have got some major breaking news coming from DCEU. Mainly, Michael Keaton in early discussions to reprise his role as Bruce Wayne, the Batman, in the upcoming The Flash movie. Patty Jenkins had her say on the upcoming Wonder Woman 3. Jai Courtney chipped in with a few words about his upcoming role in The Suicide Squad in 2021. And we're going to catch up with all the latest gossip coming from the DC Universe. Of course, guys, I can't do it myself, so you know him already. He's my Nightwing to my Batman, he's my Harley Quinn to my Joker. Please welcome back from DC's Daily Buzz, it's Jake.
Hey everyone, how's it going?
You liked that, didn't you? You liked that?
I thought that was cool.
That was cool. How you doing?
I'm great, what about you?
Yeah, everything's going great. I'm looking forward. I'm happy we've left this to a bit later in the week, because if we spoke too soon, we might have been behind on information, so I'm happy we've took our time to discuss this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay guys, before we start today, unfortunately this week we've had another bereavement in the DC family. Joel Schumacher, director of 1995's Batman Forever and 1997's Batman and Robin, has sadly passed away at the age of 80 after the battle with cancer. Joel had a glittering career that spanned over 4 decades, as well as directing the 2 big-budget 90s Batman movies. He directed many other iconic movies, including St. Elmo's Fire, The Lost Boys, Flatliners, and of course 2004's Phantom of the Opera, and many, many more. This is a devastating loss for everybody in the DC family. After the tragic loss of Dennis O'Neil last week, this really puts life into perspective at the present moment. We would like to pass on our condolences to Joel's friends and family at this awful time, but we will remember a man that not only produced diverse movies, but also lived a very diverse life. In a time when many in Hollywood were hiding away from their sexuality, Joel wore the fact that he was an openly gay man on his sleeve, and that fact alone, we just want to say to you, Joel, you rock. I just want to say rest in peace, Joel. Thank you for making my childhood just that little bit more fun. Rest in peace.
Yeah, may my prayers go for all of his family, for all of his beloved ones. I really enjoyed his work. I'm not super familiar with all of his projects, but I'm pretty damn sure if I get the chance to see them one day, I'm going to be really, happy and satisfied.
Anybody out there has never saw the movie The Lost Boys, please check it out. It's a cult classic. It's one of those movies, it's not a really big mainstream movie, but it's just one of those indie movies, just so raw. It's a horror, but it's so fantastic. You definitely should check it out.
I gotta check it out.
Okay guys, moving on. Wonder Woman 1984 has had another delay, as we discussed, I think it was 2 weeks ago. It's been moved October 2nd, but that has not stopped director Patty Jenkins discussing the movie. In a discussion with Total Film, she was asked the question about Wonder Woman 3. Patty said, "I've really hit the pause button, because the truth is, where the plotline was coming from was our state of being 6 months ago, and so I want to make sure that I'm totally absorbing whatever the result of this pandemic is. We are not starting to work on that movie right away," Patty said about the possibility of the turn to work post-lockdown. "I'm hoping to do this Amazon movie before we do the third Wonder Woman movie. I may not do either of them. You never know what will happen in this world." We knew that Patty Jenkins wasn't really comfortable moving into Wonder Woman 3 straight after Wonder Woman 2, like she did after the first Wonder Woman movie. I think that finished off in 2017, and then in 2018 she was straight back into shooting Wonder Woman 1984. We knew she always maybe wanted to take a break in between the movies, and I'm not opposed to that. I think it's interesting she said here that she maybe has to look over the script again, because, maybe she wants to write something relating to the current pandemic. Of course, we know Paddy from Wonder Woman 1. She loves, in Wonder Woman 1 she went back to World War 1 and told a really compelling story. We understand in Wonder Woman 1984 it's going to address a lot of the a lot of the problems in the 80s, with drug use, we know AIDS, all the sexual revolution things are going to be present in this movie. So we know Paddy loves to address the main topics of the time. It's really interesting that she's saying here that maybe she's going to take a bit longer to see what happens after the pandemic to possibly address this in Wonder Woman 3.
I think if you ask me, the reason, she came up with this statement, I'm pretty sure she the original plans, the original intentions are going to change after the 1984 movie gets released. She's going to base her concepts and future ideas based on, the way the critics respond to 1984, and the fact that Snyder will be also releasing, his cut with Wonder Woman as a huge part in it, as one of the main protagonists in the movie, is also going to be affecting, the way she's going to portray the character in her third movie in modern day. So I guess it's more like, she's going to take a step back, analyze, do more work so that she can come up with a better, not better, but I guess, a character that would fit both the Snyder version and her own version that she came up with, with 1984.
I'm hoping that, when Patty said she might not do the Amazon movie, the upcoming movie she's discussed she wants to do on HBO Max. And of course, she's also said that she might not even do Wonder Woman 3. I mean, that gave me a bit of a fright when I saw that. I was a bit like, oh no, really? But I think what Patty wants to do is she wants to go away, do something else. Famously, Christopher Nolan, in between doing The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises, he went away and did movies to freshen himself up. He wasn't just constantly doing Batman, I would imagine, Wonder Woman 84, it would have to be a shocker for that movie not to go down well with critics and fans. We just need to hope that Paddy goes away, does something else and comes back refreshed for Wonder Woman 3, because we want to keep her in the DCEU going forward. Moving on, Jake. Haven't really heard a lot about James Gunn's The Suicide Squad. The movie was very secretive during production. We didn't see a lot of production shots from it.
Yeah.
A lot of the movie was shot behind closed doors, but recently Jai Courtney sat down with Variety to discuss his upcoming film Stateless, and in this interview he was asked about the Suicide Squad. Of course, Jai Courtney, Margot Robbie, Joel Kinnaman and Viola Davis are the only characters returning to the Suicide Squad from the original David Ayer movie. But in an interview he was asked about the movie, and he says as follows: I think it's a kind of different flavour. There's a rush of new characters. James Gunn has an approach to things that's unique. He pulls a lot of that into the Suicide Squad world, and I think it really fits well, and the audience are going to have a lot of fun with it. We knew when James Gunn got attached to Suicide Squad, we've seen his work at Guardians of the Galaxy over at Marvel. We knew he would bring the humour act to it, but also the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, there's a lot of heart in them. I'm really excited, hearing Jai Courtney saying this, that James Gunn's going to bring that same magic that he had over at Marvel over to DC, the Suicide Squad.
Listen, I'm super hyped about the Suicide Squad. It's like, it's in my top list, top movies, like one of the top movies I'm super hyped about. I'm just a tiny bit scared because he's been with Marvel for 2 movies now. I'm a tiny bit scared that, we might get a Marvel vibe in the Suicide Squad movie, I hope it doesn't happen. I know they're completely different. The appeal for both, the companies when it comes to Marvel Entertainment, their movies, and when it comes to the DCEU, they have completely different appeal. The vibe for each universe is completely different. I just hope that we don't get any Marvel vibes because they're completely different.
The first Suicide Squad was very Guardians of the Galaxy. That's what DC came up as their answer to Guardians of the Galaxy. They tried to replicate Guardians of the Galaxy, not as well as Guardians of the Galaxy did. The first Suicide Squad we know was a mess. It was almost like the theatrical release of Justice League. It was like 2 different tones. One director, was David Ayer, was trying to make it dark, and then the studio was trying to make it light, and it was like 2 tones meshed together. I think with James Gunn, he's got the power to shoot his movie, release his movie, and the studio won't interfere. I hope Warner Bros. Have learned a lesson through that, and they allow James Gunn to make the movie that he wants to make. And I am 100% certain whatever James Gunn's got up his sleeve, the cast he's got, this movie's going to be great. That is my one guarantee about the upcoming slate with the DCEU, that James Gunn's going to nail it with Suicide Squad. Jai Courtney went on to say he can't say too much about the movie, but he said there was a particular sequence when I get very wet and a few people do. So it was just a brief comment that he made. We do know King Shark is in this movie. He's going to be a CGI creation by Steve Agee. I'm really looking forward to seeing King Shark. I think the first movie they were hoping to do King Shark, but ended up landing on Killer Croc. It's going to be really exciting to see King Shark at last. He's notoriously a member of the Suicide Squad, New 52, Rebirth, etc. He's always been a member of the Suicide Squad, so I'm really excited to see King Shark eat some heads, you know.
Yeah, yeah, he is. Also, I really love seeing him. I really love watching him on Harley Quinn, the animated.
Yeah, he's good on that.
He's an awesome character.
He's good on that.
I know he's going to be different in the movies, but, you know.
Yeah, I think we'll get something pretty... I don't think we'll get that version, but I think we're going to get something pretty similar, you know.
Yeah, he's definitely, for me, he's definitely way more interesting than Killer Croc. I feel like they can do a lot with his character. Yeah,
definitely agree. So, Jake, moving on. This week also, we heard from Sandra Dewey, who is the President of Productions and Business Operations for Warner Media, which includes working on HBO Max properties. And she spoke about a potential pipeline of a release date for Zack Snyder's Justice League, where she confirmed it will be released in early to mid-2021. That seems to back up our previous comments when we heard from Gardner Fox's granddaughter, who said the movie would be released on 20th of May. The timescale that Sanders laid out there, that seems to fit what we originally heard about the 20th of May release date. So that's pretty good. You know, we're kind of starting to get a bit of clarification on when we're going to get to see this movie. This week, we finally got a first teaser look at Zack Snyder's Justice League. Funnily enough, this teaser wasn't supposed to be released, and if it was, I'm sure it was supposed to be Zack Snyder himself who released it. Zack Snyder was showing a few friends and people who worked on he'd come up with for Zack Snyder's Justice League. And one person he sent it to was very enthusiastic. That was Jason Momoa, our Aquaman. Yeah. He showed Jason Momoa, and Jason Momoa did what Jason Momoa does. He got so excited. He was so pumped. He was like, hell yeah. And he released it on his Instagram page. And Zack Snyder and the people at Warner Bros. And AT&T must have went, oh shit, Jason. But Jason Momoa's like us. He's one of the fans. He's dying for us to see this cut of the movie. He saw a cut of the movie already.
Yeah, he is a hardcore fan of Snyder.
And yeah, Zack's done a lot for Jason's career. You know, he's gave him this opportunity to be Aquaman, and Jason just really wants to repay him. He was so excited. He showed us this trailer early, and then of course after that, HBO Max, Warner Bros. Ended up having to release the cut, and we got to see it in HD. Of course, Jake, this is images that we actually discussed just a few weeks ago on the show. I think it was about 3 weeks ago. We discussed that specific dark side, and we weren't sure. Well, yourself wasn't sure if it was dark side. I think we now got confirmation that was dark side in that scene. What's your thoughts initially? I know it's only a 30-second clip, but what was your thoughts when you first saw it?
I gotta say, it was really intimidating. It was, it's funnily, one of my main problems with the first theatrical cut of Justice League was it was way too childish, and there was those adult elements that were missing. And I feel like I know we can't really judge by this short teaser, but I gotta say it gave me some Batman versus Superman vibes, but in a different way. And also I feel like Darkseid is going to be the big bad for this movie. It's not Steppenwolf that the League will be struggling with, but also Darkseid is going to be making his big entrance. Because if Snyder decided that his very first teaser is going to be all about Darkseid, then the League is going to get their hands dirty with him. So I got to say, the teaser was awesome, although I really wanted to see more. I think it was short. We still have to wait for August, until we get our first official trailer. That's what all the rumors have been stating lately. So I gotta say the teaser was good. It was not bad. I think it was awesome.
I still think Steppenwolf will be the main antagonist in the movie, but I definitely do think that Darkseid will loom very large over the movie. We have heard that Wonder Woman scene in the initial cut of the movie was set to take place at the end. She was going to go away and research Darkseid, and she was going to find the cave, learn the backstory of Darkseid. That's what we've heard. We don't know, of course. The Snyder Cut isn't going to be a 3-4 hour theatrical release. It's going to be broken up into 6 parts, so we aren't going to get exactly the way Zack had it, before. And one thing that's definitely, as you said, noticeable was the tone. It was intimidating. There was no Barry Allen racing Superman in this cut. There was no Superman saying the word justice and punching Steppenwolf. This was definitely a big difference. It was definitely a massive tonal shift. And to a lot of Snyder fans, this is going to be great. And to myself as well, I really can't wait for this. I've had my problems with Snyder in the past, but I wasn't that pleased, let's just say that, with the initial release of Justice League in theatres. So I can't wait to see this movie here, see what Zack initially had planned for us. And with the next topic we're going to discuss, we do know that the DCEU is going to continue in some way. I'm hoping this movie can definitely set up a future for us going forward. Darkseid is the main villain for the Justice League, so we want to see Darkseid going forward, and he looks so intimidating. When the initial announcement of the Snyder Cut came out, many YouTubers reported it, but one of the main ones, of course, is someone me like, is Grace Randolph. Grace, when she confirmed that Snyder Cut was coming out, she said that she heard a rumour about a character possibly cameoing in the movie, and all she could say at that moment was it was somebody who had Snyder's back throughout this run to get in the Snyder Cut. I did think, with Ryan Reynolds, we've seen Ryan Reynolds in many cons and conventions say the word release the Snyder Cut or Zack Snyder's Justice League. He said it repeatedly on Twitter as well. He was very supportive of Zack Snyder trying to get his cut of the movie released. Well, this week Grace came back out again and she said, now I've heard it from a second source, it seems the word is indeed getting out, so I can confirm the hashtag Snyder Cut cameo I've been teasing is indeed Ryan Reynolds for hashtag Green Lantern. I'm hearing WB is working on a deal now to make it official. Ryan Reynolds famously played Green Lantern Hal Jordan in 2011's Green Lantern movie. The movie was a financial and critical flop. That movie was supposed to set up the DCEU. I even know for the fact that Henry Cavill was potentially going to have a cameo in that movie, but it was pulled at the last minute. That movie didn't set up the extended universe, and then 2 years later, Man of Steel came out, and that was the beginning of the DCEU. We do know, Jake, that Zack Snyder was planning on having a Green Lantern cameo in the movie. Many of us have hypothesised that the cameo would be Tomar Ray and Kilowog in a post-credit scene approaching Wayne Manor. But Zack is now, by the looks of it, going to bring Ryan Reynolds back for the cameo. This throws up so many questions. I mean, he's Deadpool over at Marvel. Right now, that seems like it's not going anywhere. It seems like Marvel, Disney don't have any plans for Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool. So Ryan Reynolds is a hot property. Right? Ryan Reynolds is a guy who is a marketing machine. This guy he's a big name. He's built himself from just a job actor to somebody who's just, he's in every movie just now. He's getting cast. He's hot property. It's interesting, that making him canon, bringing him over, into the Snyderverse, it's so interesting. What's your thoughts on this?
Now, listen, my thoughts, I think it's awesome we're having Ryan Reynolds back, but we can't be sure if he's going to be playing Green Lantern or not, because we all know for a fact that that 2011's Green Lantern is definitely not set in the DCEU. And also the fact that Ryan Reynolds didn't enjoy playing Green Lantern. And he said this in a lot of interviews. He also threw shade at the Green Lantern movie and also many other DC movies in his Deadpool movies. Now, I know that's not, I'm not really saying it's a bad thing. I'm not also saying it's a good thing. But I mean, I highly doubt him returning to play Green Lantern back. And we already know that they already cast an actor to, for the cameo scene. Now, listen, if you ask me, that's my perspective here. I think it's just like a small cameo, He's not going to be really wearing a suit or suiting up as Green Lantern in any upcoming future movies. I highly doubt that. And the fact, also, I'm not sure. I mean, we can't be really 100% certain because we haven't had any official interactions with the people that work at Warner Bros. Or Snyder himself. But we can hope for, what's best for the DCEU.
When you see the Snyder vision, Ryan Reynolds as an actor does not fit into the Snyderverse. But what Ryan Reynolds does fit into is this new look DC, with Shazam, Aquaman being the Aqua dude, the way things are shaping up now, it's a bit more comedic. I know DC fans are going to hate me saying that, but it is. They're moving a bit more lighter. It's not as dark. Everything's not as depressing. And Ryan Reynolds is perfect for that. And Ryan Reynolds is a great actor. The 2011 Green Lantern movie was just a disaster. It was just a badly made movie. And Ryan Reynolds, he was so in on being Green Lantern, he was so in on being Hal Jordan. It was just so unfortunate that movie didn't work out for many reasons.
Yeah, that's why I highly doubt. That's why I highly doubt. That he will be playing Green Lantern again. It's just a small cameo. He might be playing a completely different character. He might not be playing Green Lantern. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, we do know that Zack has shown us a lot of pictures and, he's given us a lot of leaks and there's been little clips here and there. And one thing that many have discussed is there a lot of this movie left to show? And Zack, as this week came out with the famous comment everybody now says is, we've only scratched the surface. So that's interesting. So Zack's saying we've only scratched the surface in what we've saw so far. So there must be a lot that we haven't seen. If he's saying we've only scratched the surface, and then he also said, judging from, he still stands by that he's never saw the theatrical release of Justice League. I still highly doubt that. You would have, if you're Zack Snyder, you must have had a bit of curiosity and watched it at some point, but let's take his word for it. He said he hasn't seen it. He says from what he saw, we've only saw 25% of the movie. It'll be really interesting, to see what Zack wants to reshoot. Is this movie just going to be a one and done Zack Snyder Justice League and then Zack moves away? Will they allow Zack to throw in cameos? What will they allow Zack to do? Because we believe that the main cast, Jason Momoa, Ray Fisher, Ezra Miller, Ben Affleck, they won't be returning for these shoots. I think when we had the budget that they've got to finish off the movie, it didn't seem like the sort of budget you would need to attract A-list talent back. So it'll be interesting to see what Zack can do with the additional photography. But very interesting. So let's go back to the start of the week. We had confirmation, well, what appeared to be confirmation from Barbara Machete, who is the sister and the producer on Andy Machete, the director of The Flash. She is the producer on a lot of his projects. She seemed to confirm what we spoke about 2 weeks ago when we said that Ray Fisher's Cyborg will be present in the Flash movie. So that was good. So we heard that. So that was a good bit of confirmation. But then as the week went on, we heard another rumour. It never was reported by any of the big boys. It was never reported by Deadline, Hollywood Reporter. This was a story that came from somewhere on the internet. It was just one of those stories that was floating about. And it said that Jeffrey Dean Morgan, famously of Batman vs Superman, and of course Walking Dead, and of course Zack Snyder's 2009 movie The Watchmen, he was going to be reprising his role as Thomas Wayne in The Flash, and indeed it was going to be a Flashpoint movie. As I say, that was never confirmed, it was only speculation. And when we heard this, it made very much so sense. We all thought that if they were going to do a Flashpoint movie, they had to have Thomas Wayne, and you have the perfect actor there in Jeffrey Dean Morgan. But of course, if they were going to do a direct representation of Flashpoint, that would mean you would have to have Ben Affleck involved. And of course that would mean, Jake, that Ben Affleck would have to reconsider his position as Batman, even though we've heard repeatedly from Ben that he is in a good place now. He's finished with the character. He's happy with the work he'd done as Batman. He will return for additional dialogue, ADR, on Zack Snyder's Justice League, but he has never came out and changed his mind. And we understand that AT&T have repeatedly tried to get Ben to come back, and Ben won't budge. He's not interested in returning as Batman. And guys, we just want to say that we respect Ben's position. I respect Ben's position. The guy's had such a hard time, as we've discussed repeatedly on this show. He's entitled, after all his battles personally and with alcohol abuse, he is entitled to say, no, I don't want to do that to myself again. And I love Ben as Batman. I wish Ben was still Batman, but I've got a lot of great memories from Batman vs Superman, Suicide Squad, and Justice League, and hopefully Zack Snyder's Justice League. But moving forward, the DCEU will need a Batman, and as we've said repeatedly on this show, Jake, we have said that we believe that Robert Pattinson's Batman from Matt Reeves' upcoming The Batman movie would be incorporated in the DCEU. For a long time now, Jake, a lot of people have said, no, it's a Elseworld tale, or it's set in a different world. Judging by the looks that we've had in the movie, I've definitely thought it could be Elseworld, but I was really hoping that the DCEU would move forward, and to move forward, we need a Batman. So, step forward, Alberto Gonzalez of The Rap. He reported earlier on this week, after nearly 30 years, Michael Keaton is in talks to reprise his role as Batman in the upcoming Flash movie. Now, he went on to say at this point, it was very early stages, and nothing is certain in these talks. So, people heard that, and of course the internet went wild. We're all like, oh my god, what does this mean? What does this mean? when I initially heard it, I thought, oh, it'll just be a cameo. You know, when the Flash is done in for the time, he will appear in Tim Burton's Gotham, and from 1989's Batman and 1992's Batman Returns. I just thought that the Flash would visit him for a scene, maybe visit Bruce in the Batcave. I never thought anything of it. But as the hours went on, a lot of different publications picked up the story. And mainly the Hollywood Reporter, so this is one of the big boys, guys. When they're picking up a story, you know there's more to it. And the Hollywood Reporter went on. They not only said that it was early discussions, they went on to say the discussions had been going on for a while. And they said that if Michael Keaton was down for this role, and they understand that Michael Keaton is very interested in coming back as Batman, that he would sign a multi-picture deal to appear across the DCEU in what they are saying as a Nick Fury from the Marvel Cinematic Universe role, a mentor or a guide or even a string puller. And Batgirl is one of the movies that they've got penciled in that he would appear in. So Jake, this has been a crazy developing story. Of course, many people are like, oh my god, what does this mean for Flashpoint? What does this mean for Jeffrey D. Morgan? What does this mean for Ben Affleck? Guys, we can see right now that DC's plan at the moment is if Ben's out, but he's said he's out, Ben has to be replaced. The DCEU will move forward. They are going to move forward. They want to continue Wonder Woman. They want to continue Aquaman. They want to continue Black Adam. They want to continue Shazam. But to do that, of course they're going to need a Batman. And if Ben's out, well, we're in limbo. But to a lot of us, guys, we thought that Robert Pattinson's The Batman would be brought in to the DCEU. But, guys, we understand that Matt Reeves has been given assurances from Warner Bros. That he will be allowed to develop his Batman outside of DCEU continuity, meaning that the Batman will not cross over with any DCEU movies. So, Jake, what is your initial thoughts when Michael Keaton came out? Of course, guys, if you want to hear our really initial thoughts, Jake's got a video over on DC Daily Buzz YouTube page, and of course you can hear me talk about it on Detective Comic Talks, the YouTube channel. But Jake, now you've had a couple of days to relax, hear some more information. What is your thoughts on Michael Keaton appearing as Bruce Wayne 30 years later inside the DCEU?
I'm a huge fan of Tim Burton's Batman, or Michael's Batman. I was not that hyped. I already expressed how I felt like. Since the moment they announced it on my Instagram account. I'm not sure how it's going to work with the DCEU. And I think they need someone really clever to pull up, Tim's version of Batman, because it's going to be hard, the way he's portrayed, the way he worked 30 years ago, the way he worked might not work, at the modern days. Now, I'm not saying that it's going to suck. I'm not saying also they're going to nail it. We're going to have to see. But I feel like, I'm not sure. I'm not really hyped about the whole thing. I know that Ben Affleck is not coming back. I totally respect his decision. And also, I understand that Matt Reeves doesn't want his Batman to be part of the DCEU. I also understand that. I'm not super sure about Michael's Batman. I feel like this is a thing that the CW would do. I would have instead recast Ben Affleck and just fill him in, whether they can explain it as it's like a Flashpoint thing, or just don't explain it. I don't know. But, I mean, we're having a lot of Batman at the moment. Robert Pattinson's Batman, Ben Affleck's Batman next year in Snyder's, Snyder's cut. There's also the Batman, let's say Bruce Wayne on Titans. There's another Bruce Wayne on the CW on Batwoman. There's like a lot of Batman, and they're not really done in the way, the way the comics did the multiverse. Now, I'm excited. I'm excited because it's also open doors for the DCEU. It's a first of a kind. This has never happened before on the big screen. It's totally new. It's refreshing. But I think we need the right people. We need the right people, including the writing, directing, blah blah blah, to pull off Tim Burton's version of Batman that worked 30 years ago. And I feel like the absence of, Ben Affleck's Bruce Wayne in that movie won't make any sense. We're going to see how are they going to explain it, or they might not explain it. Who knows? But for me, I'm not, insanely hyped about it. I'm excited.
You'll be listening to Jake and saying, whoa, wait a minute, Ben Affleck, Robert Pattinson, Michael Keaton, what is going on? guys, what DC are proposing to introduce is the multiverse, and anybody who's interested in DC Comics, you'll know that the multiverse has been present for over 60 years in DC Comics. This is basically an infinity number of universes, all out there, anything's possible. In one of these universes, Jake will be Batman, in another universe, I'll be the Joker. That is how the multiverse is supposed to work. To explain to you guys why, in my opinion, why Michael Keaton will be cast as Batman, won't just have a straight recast though, because DC do not want to overshadow Robert Pattinson as the Batman. But we understand, guys, DC are totally behind. They see Robert Pattinson is the future of Batman. They see him as, in the next 10, 15 years, he is going to be Batman. Eventually, they hope that he will cross over with the DCEU, but not at the moment. They want to allow Matt Reeves to go away and establish this character, and we're really excited for that movie. But that means the DCEU at the moment does not have a Batman, and DC are left in a position where they could recast Ben Affleck with an older actor, with, say, a John Hamm, somebody Ben Affleck's age. But I think Warner Bros. DC see that as possibly overshadowing Pattinson's Batman. They see that as bringing in another actor with the fanfare, with the speculation. That could really damage Robert Pattinson's casting. Already there's a lot of things about Robert Pattinson. Oh, he won't work out for Batman, he won't do this. A lot of people are seeing him still as that teenage heartthrob from the Twilight and Harry Potter movies. DC are really behind Pattinson. They want Pattinson to be Batman, but the last thing they want is to overshadow their own movie coming out next year, which has had a lot of delays and problems. They don't want to overshadow the new actor to play Batman. So the idea of bringing in Michael Keaton from a successful franchise over 30 years ago, he's established as Bruce Wayne. We know he's Bruce Wayne. One thing about Ben Affleck's Batman we always spoke about is, how good would it have been to see Ben Affleck's Batman 20 years ago when he was younger? Well, this is a Batman who's coming in who's even older than Ben Affleck. He can still fulfil the role that Ben Affleck was playing inside the DCEU, but he's a Batman. We know his history. We've seen 2 movies. We don't need to see a Batman 3 or a reboot of this Batman. We've seen him. So it's an easy move for Warner Bros. To bring in Michael Keaton, who's already got the fans, the fans backing. They're going to bring in they fans. A lot of fans have went away from DC. A lot of people aren't happy with the products DC's been having. All we need to do is go back and listen to some of our previous podcasts where we have told you guys the diminishing box office in the DC movies. The box office has been dropping, and we saw it in Birds of Prey, we saw it in Justice League. The box office is so inconsistent with DC that bringing in a fan favourite is almost a surefire win. And it's took a movie, The Flash, that's coming out in a very competitive period. That movie comes out less than a month before Captain Marvel from the MCU, which was already a $1 billion first movie. Bringing in Michael Keaton, bringing in the multiverse, that has really made The Flash a very competitive movie in a very challenging time. Many of us will be thinking, what does this mean? What does this mean? And what it means, guys, is potentially after Zack Snyder's Justice League movie, we can still move forward. We can still continue on Gal, Jason as the story. We can still continue this story on with an older Batman present in the DCEU. The way Ben was the older Batman. I'm a massive Batman fan, so for me, knowing that there has been a change, we could still maybe get, this talk of Batgirl, could we get Nightwing? We do know, if we continued on with Ben Affleck's Batman, Nightwing was dead. So, it's opened up, as a Batman fan, so many infinite possibilities of, a Nightwing who would have been, at this point, possibly 30, late 20s, 30, perfect age for a Nightwing. There's so many possibilities that have opened up for this. And, of course, the opportunity to possibly see Burton's world come back, could we get Michelle Pfeiffer coming back as Catwoman? I hope we don't see Michelle Pfeiffer in a Catwoman suit. As much as I really can't wait to see Michael Keaton in a Batman suit, I think a leather tight suit on Michelle Pfeiffer, in her 50s, possibly 60s, I think that would be a bit unfair. I think Michael Keaton, you can get away with putting the suit on because you could just have a stunt actor doing the scenes and Michael Keaton's face just for the close-ups. The possibility of bringing back the world that Burton set up, and of course, as many are talking about, the potential of a Batman Beyond movie that's really came forward now. There's an opportunity that they could bring back the 90s, early 2000s animated series and make it live action, and many are saying that that is the end game for Warner Bros. Jake?
I gotta say, I dig a Batman Beyond movie. I think that's a wonderful idea, and I'm definitely down. I won't mind it.
Yeah, I think for me, I still hope that if Michael Keaton's going to be Batman in this next batch of DC movies, I still hope he wears the suit. Please wear the suit. Right now, I think it's a great idea creating the multiverse, letting DC Universe and Arrowverse over there doing their own wee thing, letting the movies do their own wee thing here, letting Matt Reeves do his own thing, potentially Joaquin Phoenix is Joker doing his own thing. Could we see Joaquin Phoenix appear? We don't know. With the multiverse, anything is possible at this point. The crossovers are endless, and I just hope that going forward, if they're going to continue still the DCEU, they're going to use Michael Keaton. I just hope it's not just Bruce Wayne, because then I would agree with you, it would become a bit like the Arrowverse and DC Universe. Well, it's just Bruce Wayne, we never see him in the suit. I hope that going forward, if they do a Justice League 2 in the next 3 or 4 years, Michael Keaton suits up. I really hope so. I just hope. I know he's 68 years old, but he looked great for 68. He's badass for 68. And I just really hope that if he was to join the Justice League, that we see him as Batman, and not just Bruce Wayne sitting in the cave,
Yeah.
Because we've already got Cyborg to sit and be the computer guy. Let's have Bruce, on the field kicking ass and showing the younger ones how it's done.
Yeah, definitely.
So guys, that's all we've got time for this week. So Jake, let everybody know where they can get a hold of you, where can they find you?
You can find me on Instagram at DC Daily Buzz and on my YouTube channel, DC's Daily Buzz.
And of course, guys, you can find us on Instagram at Detective Comic Talks. Over on YouTube, we've got daily videos coming out. You can find us there, Detective Comic Talks. Please remember to like and subscribe to the channel to keep up to date with all the content coming your way. Until next time, guys, see you soon. Bye bye.